There was a time in my life when I hoped, I waited, I wished, I looked out at the world and believed that change must come from out there, from the job, the opportunity, the right person, the perfect moment, and nothing changed. Time passed, but the scenery remained the same. Until one day, I heard something that struck me like lightning. Act as if it were already true, not in pretense, not in play, but in deep inner conviction. I was told that my world was not responding to my needs, but to my assumption. That was the day my life began to change. I learned that imagination is the creative force, not fantasy, but the blueprint of reality. When I shut my eyes and felt the scene of my wish fulfilled, something shifted. The world outside didn't change immediately, but I did, and that change within me began to reflect outwardly. Feeling became my secret power, not what I wanted, but what I felt as real. When I moved in my mind as though my desire was already mine, and I felt it, truly and deeply, I was planting seeds in the unseen realm. I stopped asking when and started living as if. I didn't wait for the success. I walked like one who had already succeeded. I didn't pray for love. I became the embodiment of being loved. I didn't plead for abundance. I lived from the state of wealth. It wasn't arrogance. It was alignment. And something miraculous happened. Life conformed. Opportunities arose. People responded. Doors opened. But none of that happened until I changed within. Your assumption, persisted in, becomes your fact. That is the law. When doubt came, I reminded myself, creation is finished. All states already exist. I didn't need to make it happen. I only needed to enter the state and remain faithful to it. Faith, I discovered, is not hoping, it is loyalty to the unseen reality. It is knowing that what I see with my inner eye, what I feel with my inner senses, is more real than what appears to be. And I persisted, even when nothing changed outside, even when my senses mocked me. I stayed loyal to the state within me, and the world yielded. The truth is simple. Your world mirrors your internal state. To change the reflection, you must change the face. To alter the world, you must alter the one who perceives it. So today, I no longer wait. I no longer hope. I no longer ask, how will it happen? I say, I feel. I live as if. And that is the secret that changed my life. Imagination is not just a fleeting thought or a passing fancy. It is the very source from which all reality flows. It is the unseen force that shapes everything you experience in your life. Before any person, place, or thing appears in the physical world, it exists first in the realm of imagination. This realm is not imaginary in the way we often misunderstand it. Rather, it is the true foundation of existence. When you imagine, you are stepping into the creative process itself. Your mind, through vivid and intentional imagining, molds the clay of possibility into a form that will one day manifest outside of you. Every invention, every great achievement, every relationship and opportunity began as a seed planted in the fertile soil of imagination. The images you entertain, the scenes you construct in your mind, carry an energy that moves beyond mere thought. They imprint upon the subconscious, which accepts them as reality and begins to orchestrate your external world to match. This is why what you imagine with feeling and detail has power. Because your subconscious cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically real. It acts upon the impressions you give it, shaping your circumstances to reflect the world you hold within. Imagination is therefore your sacred tool, the instrument through which you co-create your life experience. It is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the cause behind every effect. To imagine consciously and purposefully is to wield the power of creation itself. In this process, you are not a passive dreamer, but an active creator shaping your destiny moment by moment. When you awaken to this truth, your imagination becomes the most powerful ally you possess, capable of transforming the mundane into the extraordinary, simply through the inner act of creation. Feeling is the secret that breathes life into the images and ideas you hold within your mind. It is not enough to simply think about what you desire. You must feel it as if it is already yours. The emotions you experience act as the vital force that animates your imagination and impresses it deeply upon your subconscious. This feeling is the bridge between the imagined and the real, the invisible and the visible. Without feeling, thoughts remain empty and powerless, like a spark that never catches flame. When you feel the reality of your desire with intensity and conviction, your entire being aligns with that state of fulfillment. The subconscious mind does not question feeling. It accepts it as truth and begins to reorganize your outer world to reflect that inner certainty. This is why joy, gratitude, peace, and confidence, when genuinely felt, can draw circumstances into your life that match those emotions. Conversely, feelings of doubt, fear, or lack reinforce the experience of absence and limitation. Feeling is the language your subconscious understands best. It acts as the signal that sends your intentions deep into the core of your being, activating the creative processes that shape your reality. The quality of your feeling determines the strength of your manifestation. It is not what you want, but how you feel about what you want that sets the wheels of creation into motion. To master the art of feeling is to unlock the power to command your world with subtle yet unstoppable force. This secret is often overlooked because feelings are so personal and intangible, yet they hold the key to transformation. By consciously cultivating the feeling of your fulfilled desire, you become a magnet for the experiences that mirror those emotions. Feeling moves beyond mental acceptance into embodied knowing, and it is this knowing that changes everything. To live from the end means to embody the reality of your desire as if it has already been fulfilled, rather than waiting for external circumstances to prove it true. It is the practice of stepping fully into the feeling and consciousness of the outcome you seek, not as a distant possibility, but as your present experience. This approach reverses the common way of thinking, where people look outward for evidence before allowing themselves to feel complete. Instead, you begin from the state of having already arrived, allowing your mind and emotions to settle into the reality of your fulfilled wish. When you live from the end, your thoughts, emotions, and actions align with the person you would be if your desire were already true. This alignment creates a powerful signal to your subconscious mind, which then orchestrates your external world to match the inner reality you have chosen. It is not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe against all evidence. It is about consciously choosing to dwell in the feeling of fulfillment regardless of current circumstances. This mental and emotional habit reshapes your self-concept, altering your identity to one that naturally attracts the conditions and events corresponding to your desire. Living from the end also frees you from the anxiety and impatience that come with focusing on the how and when of manifestation. Instead of fixating on external timelines or obstacles, you place your attention on the end result, letting that inner experience become so vivid and real that it replaces doubt and fear. This practice transforms the imagination from a place of wishing into a dynamic realm of creation. By consistently living from the end, you gradually shift your entire reality until the outer world reflects the inner truth you have sustained. This concept calls for a deep trust in the invisible and an unwavering commitment to the assumption that your desire is already complete. It is a radical change in perspective, where you accept the unseen as more real than the seen and allow that acceptance to shape every moment of your life. Assumption hardens into fact is the principle that what you consistently assume to be true, regardless of current appearances, will eventually manifest as your reality. It is the understanding that the mind does not differentiate between imagined experience and physical evidence when the assumption is held firmly and persistently. The power lies not in fleeting thoughts or momentary wishes, but in the deep, unwavering conviction that what you desire is already a fact in the unseen realm. When you hold an assumption with enough faith and feeling, it impresses the subconscious mind so profoundly that it begins to shape your external world to align with that belief. The subconscious operates on patterns and beliefs, not logic or skepticism. If you tell yourself over and over that a certain state or event is true, your subconscious accepts it and orchestrates your experiences to match. This process does not depend on what the five senses report. Instead, it relies on the inner reality you maintain with your mind and emotions. The hardening of assumption into fact is not instantaneous. It is a gradual process of mental and emotional perseverance. At first, the world may appear contradictory, but the key is to persist in the assumption without wavering. Doubts and contrary evidence are simply tests of your faith in the assumption. Each time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you strengthen the foundation of your new reality. Like a seed planted deep in fertile soil, the assumption grows unseen before it breaks through into physical form. This principle reveals the power of inner conviction over outer circumstance. Your environment, relationships, and events are reflections of the assumptions you hold. To change your world, you must first change your assumption about what is true for you. When you master this, you understand that reality is pliable and responds to the patterns of your belief. The key is to remain loyal to the assumption until it crystallizes into the experience you desire. The power of inner speech is the profound influence your internal dialogue has over your reality. The words you speak to yourself silently, the conversations you hold within your mind, shape your beliefs, emotions, and ultimately the world you experience. Inner speech is not just a passive background noise. It is an active force that programs your subconscious mind and directs the course of your life. Every thought, every phrase you repeat internally carries energy that either builds up or breaks down the world you live in. When your inner speech aligns with the state of your fulfilled desire, it acts like a beacon, sending clear signals to your subconscious about what is real and true for you. These internal affirmations become the foundation upon which your subconscious constructs your external experiences. Conversely, negative or doubtful inner speech reinforces limitations, fear, and lack, keeping you trapped in the same patterns and circumstances. The subconscious mind listens attentively to what you say within, not filtering or judging, but accepting all statements as facts to be acted upon. Mastering your inner speech means becoming aware of the habitual conversations you have with yourself and consciously choosing words that reflect your desired reality. It requires discipline and mindfulness to catch negative or contradictory thoughts and replace them with empowering statements spoken from the perspective of already having what you want. This process is not about forcing or pretending, but about sincerely embodying the truth of your wish fulfilled in the tone and content of your inner dialogue. The subtle but constant repetition of inner speech shapes your identity and your perception of the world. Over time, the stories you tell yourself become the lens through which you see life, influencing your actions, feelings, and opportunities. Your inner speech molds your beliefs and assumptions, and these beliefs form the blueprint for your manifested experience. Recognizing the power of your silent words allows you to harness a creative tool that can transform your life from the inside out. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality, a steadfast commitment to the truth of what you desire, even when the physical world offers no evidence to support it. It is not mere hope or wishful thinking, but an unwavering allegiance to the inner conviction that your desire already exists beyond the senses. Faith is the inner certainty that what is invisible holds more weight than what is visible, and that the reality you imagine is the true reality waiting to be revealed. This kind of faith requires courage, because it asks you to trust in something intangible, something that cannot be measured or proven by ordinary means. It calls for a deep surrender to the creative process, knowing that your persistent belief will shape the outcome. To be faithful is to remain loyal in thought, feeling, and assumption, regardless of the current circumstances or apparent contradictions. It means holding fast to the invisible vision of your fulfilled desire, with a quiet but powerful confidence that does not waver in the face of doubt or delay. Loyalty to the unseen reality transforms your mindset from one of waiting and wondering into one of active participation and expectancy. It keeps you anchored in the state of the end result, refusing to be swayed by external appearances or the opinions of others. This loyalty strengthens the impression made upon your subconscious mind, which in turn directs your experiences to conform to the reality you uphold within. Faith in this sense is an intimate relationship between your conscious awareness and the creative power of your imagination. It is the bridge that connects your inner world with the outer world, allowing the unseen to manifest as seen. When you practice this loyalty, you cultivate a sense of peace and assurance that transcends circumstance, knowing that your reality is unfolding exactly as it should, guided by your unshakable belief. Self-concept is destiny, because the way you perceive yourself determines the trajectory of your life. Your self-concept is the collection of beliefs, feelings, and ideas you hold about who you are at your core. It is the lens through which you interpret every experience and the foundation upon which your reality is built. Until you transform this internal image, no lasting change can occur in the world outside. The outer world is a mirror reflecting back the identity you carry within, and it responds faithfully to the story you tell yourself about yourself. If you see yourself as limited, unworthy, or incapable, your life will align with those beliefs, creating circumstances that reinforce that identity. Conversely, when you expand and elevate your self-concept to match the person you wish to be, your external conditions begin to shift accordingly. This is why attempts to change circumstances without first addressing self-concept often fall short. They do not alter the invisible blueprint that governs your experiences. Your self-concept acts like a magnet, attracting situations, relationships, and opportunities that correspond to the identity you maintain. Changing your self-concept is not about superficial affirmations or wishful thinking. It requires a deep and genuine reimagining of yourself. You must see yourself in a new light, feeling the reality of that new identity as if it were already true. This transformation involves shedding old beliefs and replacing them with a vivid, confident sense of who you are becoming. As you nurture this new self-image, your subconscious mind begins to accept it as fact and organizes your life to reflect this upgraded identity. Your destiny is shaped by the dominant picture you hold of yourself. This inner identity sets the boundaries of what you consider possible and influences the actions you take, the decisions you make, and the energy you emit. When you embrace a higher, more empowered self-concept, you unlock doors that were previously closed and move effortlessly toward the fulfillment of your desires. The transformation begins within, because destiny flows naturally from the self you choose to embody. Persist in the assumption means to hold firmly and consistently to the belief that your desire is already fulfilled, regardless of what your senses or circumstances may show. It is the act of maintaining an inner state of certainty and conviction without yielding to doubt, fear, or discouragement. Persistence is the key that bridges the gap between imagination and reality, allowing the invisible to gradually take form in the physical world. Without persistence, the assumption remains fragile and easily displaced by external conditions or conflicting thoughts. Persistence requires discipline, because the natural tendency is to focus on what is lacking or to become swayed by appearances that contradict your desired outcome. When you persist in the assumption, you refuse to give energy to the current reality that opposes your vision. Instead, you keep returning your attention to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, reinforcing that mental and emotional state until it becomes unshakable. This steady commitment builds a powerful impression on your subconscious mind, which accepts only what is consistently impressed upon it. The world around you may not change overnight, and there may be delays or obstacles that challenge your faith. These moments are tests of your resolve to remain loyal to your assumption. Persistence is not stubbornness, but a calm, unwavering faith that your inner reality will manifest in due time. Each time you reaffirm your assumption with feeling, you deepen its roots within your being and strengthen the creative process that is unfolding beneath the surface. Persisting in the assumption also means avoiding reactions that contradict your desired state. It requires that you do not argue with what appears to be, but instead quietly and confidently live in the state of what is wished for. Over time, this unwavering focus causes the assumed state to harden into fact as your inner world reshapes your outer experience. The power of persistence lies in its ability to hold space for the unseen until it becomes seen, making it the essential ingredient in the art of manifestation. Your world mirrors your state because the reality you experience outside is a direct reflection of the consciousness you hold within. The circumstances, people, and events that show up in your life are not random or separate from you. They respond precisely to your inner condition, your beliefs, emotions, and expectations. What you carry in your mind and heart colors the lens through which you perceive the world, and that perception, in turn, shapes the world itself. This means that by changing your internal state, you change the reflection you see in your outer environment. When you are filled with feelings of peace, confidence, and abundance, your environment begins to reflect those qualities back to you. Opportunities appear, relationships improve, and situations unfold that confirm your inner experience. On the other hand, if your state is dominated by doubt, fear, or scarcity, your external world will mirror that turmoil, reinforcing the very limitations you hope to escape. This is because the subconscious mind, which governs your experience, aligns your circumstances with the dominant frequency of your consciousness. Understanding this principle shifts your focus inward. Instead of blaming external factors or circumstances for your reality, you realize that the power to change lies within you. Your outer world cannot contradict the inner state you maintain consistently over time. It is a mirror, faithfully reflecting what you are being at every moment. This realization brings a sense of responsibility, but also immense empowerment, as you recognize that by mastering your state of mind and feeling, you have the ability to transform your entire life. Your state is shaped by your assumptions, beliefs, and habitual thoughts, and by consciously choosing to cultivate positive, empowered states, you can alter the reflection you receive from the world. This ongoing interplay between your inner world and outer experience creates a feedback loop that either builds or dissolves the reality you desire. When you accept that your world is a mirror of your state, you begin to consciously craft your inner life with greater care, knowing that the true change starts within and ripples outward into every aspect of your existence. Creation is finished means that everything you desire, every possibility, every outcome already exists in the realm of the unseen. There is no need to struggle to bring something into existence because it is already complete and whole beyond the limitations of time and space. The act of creation is not about making something new from nothing, but about entering into a state of awareness where the reality you want is already real and accessible to you. This understanding releases you from the illusion of lack or delay and places you in alignment with a finished, perfect world that awaits your recognition. All states, all experiences, and all manifestations lie dormant in the infinite possibilities of imagination. They exist timelessly and eternally, waiting only for you to assume the feeling and consciousness of having them. When you grasp that creation is finished, you realize that manifestation is not about effort or waiting, but about tuning your mind and emotions to the frequency of your desired reality. You do not create by struggling or striving, but by consciously choosing to enter the state of the fulfilled wish and living from that place. This awareness transforms the way you approach your desires. You stop pushing against resistance or measuring progress by external evidence. Instead, you relax into the knowing that the outcome is already perfect and complete. Your job is to persist in the assumption, to dwell in the feeling of the end, and to maintain loyalty to that invisible reality until it reveals itself in your world. Creation is a state of being, not a process of doing. By accepting that creation is finished, you free yourself from impatience, doubt, and frustration. You step into a state of peace and confidence, knowing that your desire is already a fact in the unseen. This allows the natural laws of consciousness to work on your behalf, moving circumstances and events into alignment with the state you hold within. Your role is simply to believe, feel, and act from the place of fulfillment, trusting that the invisible world has already done its part, and the visible will follow in perfect time. Remember that the power to shape your reality lies within you, in your imagination, your feelings, your unwavering faith, and your persistent assumption. By living from the end and holding fast to the truth of your desires, you align yourself with the unseen forces that bring your dreams into manifestation. Your inner world is the seed from which your outer world grows, and when you nurture that seed with loyalty and belief, transformation becomes inevitable. Trust in this creative power and watch as your life unfolds in ways beyond your wildest expectations. Thank you for listening and allowing these truths to inspire your journey.